Hey everybody, it's Boo Ray, and let me just remind you before we get started to please subscribe to my channel. Just click subscribe right down there. Also give me a big thumbs up because that helps me so much with YouTube. And join my group on Facebook, Pro Photo Talk with Boo Ray. Listen to my podcast, Photo Bomb. I've got a lot going on, and it would be great if you would join my community. Also, don't forget you can always ask me questions right there in the comments section. I'll answer any question that you throw at me. All right, let's get started. Today, we are going to talk about flashes, and particularly we're going to talk about the best flash for the Fuji x100f. Now, I love this camera. I'm a full-time shooter, and I shoot with Canon gear when I'm on the job. But when I'm not at work, when I'm just doing stuff for myself and having fun, I'm on vacation or hanging out with my friends or doing street photography, this is the camera that I use. I love this camera, and you'll find so many people who do. If you've bought this camera, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Don't get me wrong, it has its limitations, sure, but it's just so much fun to have in your hand and so much fun to shoot with, and it does produce incredible images. Well, despite the fact that it's primarily a street camera, and most people who use it never use a flash, because with street photography, you really want to try and capture a moment. You want to work with a photojournalistic mindset, sort of, and it's not really seen as a cool thing to use a flash with street photography. Despite all that, I'm a pro photographer. I do a lot of weddings and bar mitzvahs and portraits, and I do a lot of work with flash, and I'm kind of known for working a lot with bounce flash and stuff like that. So it's kind of hard for me to not have that capability with a camera, even a camera that I bought specifically to use when I'm not at work. So I did a lot of research, and I checked into a lot of different flashes before I picked the one that I'm using today. And let me start off by saying, in all things, when I'm talking about flashes for this camera, I'm only interested in ETTL, through the lens metering for the flash. Yes, I know that some of the Chinese brands make off-camera flashes that are full manual, and I know that you can buy triggers that will manually trigger just about any other flash, full manual off-camera. I'm not interested in that. I think that there are certainly times when having manual off-camera flash is warranted, but usually it's a work situation and not a situation when you are on the fly, what I like to call run and gun, when you're taking pictures on the street or taking pictures at a party, hanging out with your friends. That's not a time that you want to set up a flash on a tripod or have a friend hold that flash and then have to dial in and mess around with the settings. You really want to be able to shoot quick and easy and move on, because part of the reason that we get a camera like this is because we don't want to be in that mindset of a professional photographer. We don't want to be thinking about all the numbers and stuff as much. We want to be more having fun and just kind of letting our creative side come out, thinking mostly about composition and then, you know, somebody go get me another beer, that sort of thing. So I don't want manual flash. So we're not going to be talking about manual flash at all. We're only going to be talking about ETTL flashes. Now, Fuji makes a couple of flashes themselves. One of the flashes that they make is called the EF-X20. I had this flash. It's a little square flash. It's very cool, very retro, looks great on the camera. However, when you take it off the camera, it will not work TTL. It will only work in manual mode. Now, the one way that you can get around that is that you can get a cord, because they share the same connections as Canon. So if you get a Canon sync cord, you can attach it to the top of the camera, and then you can attach that little flash to the cord, and you can kind of hold it off to the side and shoot this way. And I actually did that. That was the flash that I owned with my first iteration of this camera, the S. And that was what I did. I used that for a little while. And then, you know, finally someone came out with a better flash, and I had to get rid of it. It's also really expensive. I mean, it's cheaper now. It's under $200, but it used to be over $200 for that flash, which is kind of expensive for a flash that's so small, really, when you think about it. Well, Godox finally came out with a flash that would work with the Fuji, and I love it, and it's great, and with the exception of one tiny little thing, it does everything that I need it to do. And this is the flash right here. It's called the TT350. So let's start by talking about the size of the flash. It's not as big as a full-size flash, but you don't want it to be as big as a full-size flash, because then it would just be crazy big and crazy heavy. I mean, even as a smaller flash, look at how, right? That's just the right size. That's just the right size for this camera. If you had a full-size flash on here, the flash would weigh more than the camera, and that would just be stupid. So it's just the right size. Here's the other great thing. You can take it off camera, and it will still work in full ETTL mode. All you have to do is add a remote. Now the downside is that the remote's kind of big. I mean, look, it's almost as big as the flash is, right? because the remote is made by Godox to control 4 or 5 flashes at the same time, and it's got a ton of different modes and stuff like that. I would love it if they would come out with a little bitty remote that just controlled one flash and sold it for like 40 bucks. That would be great. But there's not a huge market for that. I may be the only person who wants that. So this is the remote that you use if you want to go off camera. And I'll show you what that looks like on the camera. There you go. So it's a little bit big, but it's not so big that you can't throw it in your bag and carry it with you without it really taking up a lot of room. I keep it in the front pocket of my bag so it doesn't take up any major room. The batteries are the only thing that really add weight to it. It's got 2 AA batteries in it. And this gives you full ETTL off camera. So you can take the flash off camera and still fire it as if it was on the camera, right? And this is fantastic. I just got back literally today from Very Merry Christmas at Disney World. We go every year with our 2 girls, and I take my camera and I take my flash, and I always try to do at least one off-camera picture while I'm there. Sometimes it's me, sometimes it's one of my kids, and it's really nice when you're on location and you've got a great scene and you've just got your little camera with you. It's really nice to be able to pull out a flash and go off camera. Just a little bit, just once or twice for a couple of pictures, and then tuck it back away and go right back to doing what you want to do, which is mostly street photography. I can tell you that 99% of the pictures that I take with this camera are taken just with no flash whatsoever. I like to push myself and push my boundaries, and I don't like to carry a bunch of equipment with me. That's the whole point of getting this camera. Now, here's the other thing we need to talk about, and that's the flash that's built into the camera. And we've gone down the road of talking about all these different flashes, but we haven't talked about the one that's built into the camera. It's actually not a bad little flash. The problem is it's direct flash. And I'm a full-time shooter, weddings and stuff like that, and I just cannot bring myself to use direct flash unless I have no other possible resort. Because direct flash is the worst kind of light that you can put on somebody. And straight in light is not as good as directional light. You lose contrast, you lose depth, you get red eye. It's just not a good example. And so I don't like to use it. However, there are times that I will use it. I took my girls to a baseball game, and I took this camera with me because I wasn't going to take my flash. I didn't want to carry it all day. And I wanted to take a picture of them in front of the field. And I had to light them, so I used the flash that was on this camera, and the picture came out great. I mean, for trying to get a picture of my girls at the ball game, you couldn't ask for anything better than this. It's certainly better than I could have done with a cell phone. But if I'm going to be someplace where I'm taking a lot of pictures, and I'm at a party, and I'm wearing a suit, or something along those lines, then I want something a little better. I want to be able to bounce light. Now, I said that there was a drawback to this camera flash, and there is a drawback, but it's kind of small, and it's one that you can get around. And it's when it comes to bouncing, because when I bounce, I tend to bounce over my right shoulder like this. And with this camera, if you want to bounce over your left shoulder, you can't with this flash. I'm sorry, because you can't rotate it all the way around. So if you want to bounce over your left shoulder, that's just out of the question. You can bounce off the left wall. You can bounce behind you 45 to the right, but not behind you 45 to the left. However, it's a limitation I'm willing to live with when you consider the price of the flash. This flash and this remote, both together, about $130. I mean, that's crazy. That's a crazy price on a full ETTL flash, radio triggered, off camera. And it uses AAA batteries. This uses AA's and this uses AAA's. No special battery required. You just can't beat it. I love it. I carry it with me everywhere I go. It comes with a little cap that you can put on there, a little diffuser cap if you want to put a diffuser cap on there. I never use this because I never shoot direct flash with this flash. You can buy this for it, which is a dim flip it. And I love this product, and I use this for my bounce card. There you go. If you subscribe to my channel, I promise that sometime in the future I will make a video where I will show you exactly how I use this flash and exactly how I use it with my camera and how you can take bounce flash and off-camera light pictures with this flash. So be sure and subscribe and watch for that video because it's going to be very informative and you're going to be amazed at what you can do with the Fuji x100f and this flash. So there it is. It's the Godox TT350F. Be sure and get the one that's F because that's the one that works with Fuji. And if you look in the description, I'll have links to all the stuff that I'm talking about, so you can just click on the link and go straight to Amazon and pick that up. It's a fantastic flash, and I really can't recommend it enough, and I was very happy when they finally came out with it, because for the longest time we just didn't have anything that we could do with this camera that was bounce flash, and now we do, and it really opens up a whole new world for us with the Fuji x100f. Alright, thanks for watching.